Greetings, Mech jocks. You came here for giant stompy robots? Reasonable. Most of us did. Then somebody handed us a record sheet. And suddenly every BattleMech came with questions. How is this one fast? Why is that one so armored? Why doesn't this machine carry a Gauss rifle? And why does that machine carry 10 standard medium lasers and a deeply concerning amount of optimism? Because before a BattleMech reaches the battlefield, somebody had to build it. And every design choice bought something. The engine bought movement, the armor bought forgiveness, the weapons bought threat, the heat sinks bought permission to keep making poor decisions at full volume. Which leads us to an uncomfortable truth. Every BattleMech is a receipt. The Atlas is a receipt. The Marauder is a receipt. The Locust is a receipt. The Urban Mech is what happens when somebody staples a gun to receipt and somehow gets procurement to approve it. Every machine bought something. Every machine paid for something. The trick is figuring out the invoice before the battlefield starts charging interest. Most mech jocks look at a BattleMech and ask, is it good? That's a terrible question. It's the kind of question that starts arguments and ends repair budgets. Ask a better one. What did it buy? The Atlas bought armor, presence, the ability to stand somewhere important and become everybody's problem. The Locust bought speed, initiative pressure, the ability to become an administrative problem in someone else's deployment plan. The Catapult bought influence, the ability to participate in an argument from over there. Different purchases, different invoices, different jobs. Then comes the question nobody likes. What did it pay? Because every machine is a trade. Every one. Speed costs tonnage, armor costs tonnage, weapons cost tonnage, heat management costs tonnage, critical space charges interest, and tonnage keeps showing up at the clipboard. The machine didn't magically become fast. Some other option lost that argument. That's the bill. That's always the bill. Remember the chant. Tonnage matters. And now we arrive at the interesting part. The machine bought all the right things. Excellent. Wonderful. Good job. Then we kick open the hangar doors and discover reality was not consulted during the design process. The battlefield gets a vote. And the battlefield is an unpaid enemy consultant with final editorial control. Suppose someone builds the perfect Jägermech. Beautiful firing lanes, excellent range, lovely numbers, makes spreadsheets enthusiasts emotional. Then the contract puts it in a city. The machine is still a Jägermech. The battlefield simply stopped caring. Nothing changed on the record sheet. Everything changed on the map. And bad mechs are easy. Bad mechs usually come with warning labels. Good mechs are interesting, because good mechs often lose for good reasons. A catapult without spotting, a hunchback without an option for delivery, a sniper without firing lanes, a brawler with nowhere useful to brawl. The machine solved one problem, reality provided another. The battlefield does not grade intent, it grades relevance. And then things get worse, because sometimes the machine is relevant. Sometimes the battlefield agrees. Sometimes the design team got everything right, and the contract still doesn't care. A catapult can dominate the engagement and fail the mission. A locust can barely scratch the enemy and win the contract, because winning a firefight and winning the contract are not the same thing. The battlefield asked, can you win the fight? The mission asks, was that the point? Those are different questions. The repair bay notices when you confuse them. That is the lesson hidden underneath all of it. A BattleMech is not a collection of equipment. A BattleMech is an answer. The equipment tells you what question was asked. The Atlas asks, how do I make this piece of battlefield expensive? The Locust asks, how do I become important somewhere else? The Catapult asks, how do I influence the fight from over there? The Marauder asks, how attached are you to that side torso? Different questions, different answers, different receipts. The funny thing is that once you start treating BattleTech this way, it becomes difficult to stop. First, it's the Atlas. Then it's the Lance. Then it's the map. Then it's the contract. Then it's the operation. Every layer is buying something. Every layer is paying for something. And every layer eventually receives an invoice. At some point, you stop evaluating machines. You start evaluating decisions. I have a file somewhere labeled 3-Turn Victory. The title is not celebratory. We'll discuss that another time. But for now, understand this. A battle can be won long before consequences arrive. The consequences arrive anyway. By now, you may have noticed something. The construction rules already left fingerprints all over the crime scene. The engine mattered, the armor mattered, the heat sinks mattered, the weapon package mattered, the trade-offs mattered, the receipt mattered. The battlefield is just deciding whether those purchases were worth making. And that's where things start getting rude. Because that question doesn't stop with machines. It becomes lances, maps, movement, damage, missions, logistics. One lesson at a time. So the next time someone asks whether a BattleMech is good, ask something useful. What did it buy? What did it pay? And what problem is it solving? Then ask the dangerous question. Does this battlefield actually let it spend those purchases? Because range only matters if you can use it. Speed only matters if you can exploit it, and armor only matters if someone is shooting at you. And giant autocannons, those only matter if someone remains in front of them long enough to become educational. So that's the lesson, Mech Jocks. Not the whole lesson, just the first invoice. Every BattleMech is a receipt, the battlefield gets a vote, no mech votes alone, the construction rules left fingerprints on the crime scene, the battlefield reviews the evidence, the mission decides whether it mattered, the repair bay always sends an invoice, and somewhere in the middle of all of that, command happens. Count the cost before chance raises its voice.